Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's regular meeting of the Woburn City Council of November 19, 2024. Just a reminder to everyone, tonight's meeting is being recorded for broadcast. Also, please silence your cell phones. If you can, please stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Higgins, if you call a roll, please.
Counsel Campbell.
Present.
Counsel Demers.
Present.
Counsel DeMambro.
Present.
Counsel Ferrulo.
Present.
Counsel Mercer Bruin.
Present.
Counsel Papalato.
Present.
Counsel Toro.
Present.
Counsel Viola.
Present.
President Dillon.
Present.
Make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's journal and approve. Second.
Second.
Mr. President,
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Councilor Viola,
if I may ask for a moment of privilege.
please.
The month of November is the month of Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and this year nearly 250,000 Americans will be diagnosed with lung cancer, the leading cause of cancer death in the United States. And during National Lung Cancer Awareness Month, we honor the resilient people who have faced the diagnosis, the loved ones who rally to their side, and the medical professionals who do all they can to help patients survive and heal. In recent years, improved treatments as well as enhanced early detection have brought us closer toward turning cancer diagnosis from death sentences into treatable diseases. And cancer has touched nearly every family in America. There's hope. We see it in the extraordinary courage and strength of all who are facing this deadly disease and the families and loved ones who support them. We see it in the researchers who are chasing new breakthroughs and healthcare workers who care for their patients with compassion and skill. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. And as people could see, outside City Hall is lit up white, which is the color of lung cancer awareness. Also, there are white flags around the common as well. So,
Thank you, Councilor
Thank you,
Viola.
Council Viola.
Mr. President, if I could also ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Yes, sir.
I rise tonight with a commendation for the Woburn Fire Department. Tuesday of this week at Mechanics Hall in Worcester, 3 members of the Woburn Fire Department received a very high honor from Governor Healy and named the 3 group firefighters of the year and received a Medal of Valor from the governor for their service. If I could read a proclamation and subsequent backup material for the incident that caused them to receive this award. Lieutenant Robert Garrity, firefighters Sean Courtney and Douglas Massey of the Woburn Fire Department. On behalf of the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of receiving the Firefighter Year Award for meritorious conduct this 18th of November in the year of 2024, signed Maura T. Healy, Governor, and Kimberly Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor. I read from a report submitted on May 26, 2024, July 15, 2024, from Chief Kenton of the Woburn Fire Department. On the morning of May 26, 2024, Box 131 was struck for a reported house fire at the address of 1 Richmond Park. The initial response comprised of Engine 2, Engine 5, Engine 4, Tower 1, Car 3, and Rescue 2. Upon arrival, the officer on Tower 1, Lieutenant Robert Garrity, reported he had heavy fire showing from the house. The house was a 2.5-story wood-framed structure with 3 families occupying the structure. Moments after he arrived, Lieutenant Garrity called fire alarm, ordering a second alarm indicating he had people trapped on the 2nd floor of the building in the window with heavy fire in the room. The 2nd floor was the main origin of the fire. The victim was able to get out of the window and sit on a small ledge on the 2nd floor. Firefighter Douglas Massey quickly deployed a ground ladder to the roof that the victim was on, while firefighter Sean Courtney continued his assignment and set up the aerial in case there was need for secondary rescues. Lieutenant Garrity went up the ladder and rescued the victim and took him to the ground. The victim was in a very precarious situation from making the matters even worse. This resulted in the best outcome possible for the conditions that were encountered. These 3 men displayed the hard work and dedication for the citizens of the city of Woburn deserve and respect. Signed, Donald Kenton, Chief of Department. And as a result of this incident, these 3 firefighters received Firefighter of the Year Award from the governor. An unrelated incident, but also relevant of recognition. On Tuesday night at midnight, Engine 2 of the Woburn Fire Department responded to Chelsea's 9th alarm fire, where they worked from midnight till about 7 in the morning at that conflagration down there. So I commend the members of the Woburn Fire Department. Thank you for their service. These members were invited tonight but opted not to come. They wanted to be very humble in their award and didn't want the recognition.
Thank you, Councilor Ferrullo. As it's often said, Woburn Fire Department is second to none, a big part of our community, and we're blessed to have them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I could just add one.
Yes, of
Point
course,
to
Councilor
that.
Demers.
I'd also like to recognize firefighter Douglas Massey, who was unable to attend that award ceremony because he's now deployed with the United States Navy. So I wanted to commend him, especially around this Veterans Day season and Veterans Month of November, that not only was he saving lives here on the fire department, that he's protecting our freedoms overseas. So I just wanted to recognize a constituent of mine in that regard.
Thank you, sir. Nice job.
We get down to business.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have an order amending the Woburn zoning ordinance, section 5.1, subsection 79, to allow for municipal uses to be permitted as of right in all zoning districts.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the public hearing and be referred to the planning board.
Second.
On the motion?
Yes.
I would just like to, I know this is going to committee, but I just want to just quickly,
Yes.
It's going to public hearing, not committee.
oh, it's going to public hearing.
It is.
It's a zoning amendment, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, okay. But I would like to say something. I just want to make sure that we just, it seems very simple, and to do something like this and to change this particular use, but I really would like us to move slowly on this, because if you look at the zoning code and the use for what we're looking to do here, for the residential areas, it says that in the municipal code, the zoning code, use of land and structures by the city of Woburn for public administration, health, safety services, maintenance operations, or public roadways, easements and utilities and other public services as required by MGL. Said uses of land and structure shall include but not limit to public administration, buildings, police and fire stations, public maintenance, facilities, sewer, water stations, public utilities, roadways, easements, and conservation lands. And I guess I just want to make sure that we really have a good discussion about this, because those uses could be allowed by right if we agree to this. And the reason that we had the special permits where the city needed to come for a special permit for these things, and that was in 1992 when the police station was being built. All of a sudden, the neighbors said, wait a minute, we don't have any say as to whether the police station should go here or not. So I just wanted to bring that out and make sure that we really have a good conversation about this, because this is saying that the city, without coming to us to tell us why something is going to be put in a building or a water station or public utility, they could just do it. I just wanted to bring that out. So thank you.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on agenda is an order authorizing the acceptance of a $1,500 gift from Mr. Nicholas Leo of the Brickyard Restaurant. So it's $1,500 for both the Woburn Police and Fire Departments for equipment and indoor uniforms.
Make a motion that the order be adopted. Second.
Motion and a second to order be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petitions for 2025 renewal of first-class motor vehicle sales license for several first-class motor vehicle sales.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petitions for 2025 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales licenses.
Same motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petition for 2025 renewal of third-class motor vehicle sales licenses by Woburn Truck and Auto, Inc.
Same motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is petition by Shri Gangraj for a special permit at 100 Sylvan Road, AKA 100 Trade Center.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second that it's referred to a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Petition by Gerbani Jasmine LLC, DBA Tandor and Curry for a special permit at 902 Main Street.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Petition by 20 Sonar Drive for a special permit at 20 to 30 Sonar Drive.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on agenda is petition for National Grid for grant of location to 315 to 323 New Boston Street.
Motion the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Another petition by National Grid for grant of location at 50 Mill Street.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by FRH Realty LLC, request for minor modification to special permit dated September 2nd, 2021, as modified by special permit dated October 3rd, 2022, to amend site plan of record to include sheet C-4A and sheet C-11, both revised as of November 6, 2024, related to signage at 316 New Boston Street. A communication dated November 13, 2024, was received from Attorney Tabi regarding request for minor modification.
Make a motion to receive the communication, make it part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Motion to suspend the rules to allow the petitioner or his designee to speak.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Attorney Tabi, how are you tonight?
Very well, thank you.
You have the floor, sir.
For the record, Attorney Joseph Tabby, Reuben and Redmond, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn, here on behalf of FRH Realty, the developer of 316 New Boston Street. We filed a request to amend two sheets in the plan set, sheet C4A and sheet C11, which were plans that showed the signage that was proposed for the site. So when you look at the record site plan, we showed a primary sign for the project, we showed secondary sign, a leasing sign, and a ground-mounted monument sign. So based on the design development and locations of the building, we've filed this request, requesting a minor modification to modify the sign plan. So in summary, the permit plans used a placeholder on all signs with the word Fairfield, which was Fairfield Residential. This has been updated now to reflect the name of the project, which is known as Station 316. So that was one change. The secondary sign that was shown on the permit plans to be no larger than 85 square feet was at the top of the floor at the parking garage facing east toward the railroad. The new sign is smaller at 48 square feet, still facing the east, but located on the residential portion of the building rather than the garage. And then the last, well, there's two more requests. The next request is the primary sign, which is located near the top floor of the residential building facing south, was called out on the original plans as approximately 2 feet tall by 18 feet, 6 inches long. This sign now has been revised to be 2.5 feet tall and 19 feet long in the same location. And then the leasing sign and the monument sign are the same or smaller dimensionally, and we've updated the name of the project on there to be Project 316. And then the last request, the original plan showed for halo lighting for the building-mounted signs and an option of either internally or externally illuminated ground-mounted signs. After meeting with Commissioner Quinn to review the signage, he suggested that, so we don't run into an issue as they did over at Woburn Village, that with the sign, ground sign be internally illuminated, and the halo lighting is a type of internal illumination for that particular sign. Now, I have John Shipe of Fairfield with me. He has the signs mounted on a board if you need him to review them. I'll leave it up to you.
questions for Attorney Tarby? Yes, Counselor DeMambro.
Attorney Zabi, I talked to Commissioner Quinn today, and we went over all the different sign dimensions and everything else, and he did tell me that he requested interior illumination on the ground signs, on the monument signs, due to snow and snow buildup that would cause, obviously, the light to dull or to be blocked out altogether. Other than that, I don't have any issues with any of the lighting. Being it's near the railroads and the industrial park, there's no residential in and around that area that can be disturbed, and I'm sure it's going to be properly lit to reflect that. So I don't have any problems with what is being requested on these modifications, and I would ask the council that we could move on this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to return to regular business.
Second.
Motion and a second to return to regular business. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion that the minor modification be granted.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda we have is a petition by Brian Butler and Siobhan Curran for a special permit under section 5.156 to raise and rebuild a detached garage over 900 square feet at 68 Arlington Road. A communication dated November 8th, 2024 was received from attorney James Giuliano.
Make a motion to receive the communication, make a part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. How are you tonight, Attorney Giuliano?
Very well, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You have the
Good.
floor, sir.
What's that?
You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Again, for the record, Attorney James Giuliano on behalf of the petitioner, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street here in Woburn, Mass. As you recall, we were here last month on a special permit relating to the garage that was proposed to be over 900 square feet under Section 5.1, Section 556. We were in front of the Board of Appeals. We received a decision from them as well. The decision was issued last week relating to Section 7.3 with the existing nonconformity of the structure. We had some conversations with Councilor Campbell with regards to some conditions. I brought said conditions to the Board of Appeals, which were approved, and I did submit those conditions that we are seeking to the council last week, I believe, that we are adhering to and willing to adhere to. So I can either read those conditions into the record, or they were supplied last week with a cover letter from my office. So we are looking to get this closed today if amenable with the council. So we can certainly entertain any further questions that the council does have.
Any questions for Attorney Giuliano? Yes, Counselor Campbell.
Yes, thank you. I just had one change on number 6 on the condition. The usage of impact compression equipment will only be allowed in the garage with doors closed during the hours of 9 a.m. through 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Was he okay with that?
Yeah, we're amenable to that,
Okay.
yes.
I'm
Great.
sorry, was that 5, or I only have 5 here. Is it 6?
Condition 6.
Yes.
You're adding a condition 6.
No?
I don't have that copy then. I only have 1 through 5.
Okay, I will give you this.
I don't have it.
Okay, you don't mind if I have it? Okay, I'll have to get it one. Thank you.
Any other questions? Everyone's good?
I'll defer to the ward alderman on the motions because
Okay.
I don't have a copy of the conditions.
Okay, I just gave them.
Would you like me to read them in?
Please, would you like
Okay.
to
That would
read
be
those in?
great.
I just gave you
Thank
my
you, Madam
copy.
Clerk.
I thought I submitted them with a cover letter on the 8th.
I printed the email version you gave me, so there was only 5 in that one.
Okay.
So I probably have one in the record, but I don't have one to make edits on.
Yeah, if you could read them in for the public, that'd be great.
Number 1, no business activity shall be conducted out of or from the garage itself in perpetuity. There shall be no rental of space in the garage to any third party in perpetuity. Number 3, the accessory garage shall be used only by residents of the single-family dwelling and shall not be used as a separate dwelling in perpetuity. 4, that there shall be no conversion of garage to residential use in perpetuity. Number 5, any additional electric service and/or water/sewer to the garage shall be supplemented from the single-family residential house, only subject to all proper building permits in compliance with code. 6, the usage of impact/compression equipment will only be allowed in the garage with doors closed during the hours of 9 AM to 7 PM, 7 days a week, on personal vehicles owned by the property owner in perpetuity.
Okay, your client is good with that?
Those are correct, yes.
Okay. I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye. And then
Passes.
I make a motion to approve with the 6 conditions that were just...
I don't think you opened the
No,
public
I don't
hearing.
think
Did we not open?
No.
Not open
I
it.
make a motion to open the public
Ah,
hearing.
thank you.
There's a
Thank you.
motion and is there a second on that?
Second.
A motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no
I'll
one.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion and a
Councilor
second to
Rivers,
close the
thank you.
public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
And I make a motion to approve this petition with the 6 conditions that were read by the clerk.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by Asheville LLC for a special permit under Section 7.3 of the Woburn zoning ordinances to rebuild a covered egress staircase and decking at the rear of an existing 3-family dwelling at 100 Main Street. A proposed plot plan dated April 1st, 2024, REV July 29th, 2024, was received from James Giuliano. Further communication dated November 13th, 2024, was received from James Giuliano
Make a motion
regarding
the
100 Main
communications
Street.
be received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Good evening, Mr. President. Again, for the record, Attorney James Giuliano on behalf of the petitioner, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street here in Woburn. This is a continuance for a special permit under Section 7.3 of the Woburn zoning ordinance, continued from the October meeting, I believe. And we have submitted some further correspondence, lastly dated November 13th. After discussions with, again, Councilor Campbell, we have added a few conditions that were requested. I did submit in my correspondence on November 13th, basically everything else. I think what happens is through amendments and supplementary sheets, I think things get lost, so we just resubmitted a lot of the same stuff with the exception of sheet A1.1. And the reason why we submitted an amendment for A1.1 is because if you can look at the side of the road where the corner of the street is on Ash, we are adding arborvitaes or similar, which is one of the conditions that we are amenable to. So with the last correspondence, we are adding 4 conditions, one of them being planting arborvitaes or similar along Ash Street to block the visuals of the parking lot or parking area. Number 2, parking striping shall be kept and maintained. Number 3, number of parking spots shall be minimal in size, showing the numbers only. Basically, no big lettering showing which parking spots belong to which units. And then reference is made to the plan of record submitted November 13th, 2024. So that being said, we are looking to close the public hearing with that said.
Any questions for Attorney Giuliano?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward at this time. Seeing no one.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion that we make the following finding under section 7.3, that the city council finds that the extension or alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming use at the premises is not more substantial or detrimentally to the neighborhood.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll make a motion that we grant the special permit with the 4 conditions as outlined in Councilor Giuliano's November 13th letter.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda, we have is a petition by Campbell and Main Street LLC for a special permit under Section 5.1.5, 8.3.3, and Section 12.2 of the zoning ordinances to allow for 6 residential units above the first story in a commercial structure and 2 parking with the municipal parking lot at 477 Main Street. A communication dated November 15th, 2024 was received from Jay Duran, the Superintendent of Public Works. Further communication dated November 18th, 2024 was received from Greg Rayum, Assistant City Engineer.
Make a motion that all communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Attorney Tabby, how are you tonight?
Fine, thank you. We're going to need the screen.
sorry.
Take your time.
Okay, for the record, Attorney Joseph Tabby, Reuben and Rudman, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn. With me this evening is Paul Conley, who's with Campbell and Main Street LLC, and Scott Thornton of Vanass and Associates, who's connecting up on the computer. While he's doing that, I have 5 documents that I'd like to submit. One is a site distance plan showing the project's compliance with section 6.2.4. Second is a maneuverability study that was prepared by Vanass and Associates. Third is an updated site plan. And 4 is a list of proposed conditions. And 5 is another copy of the elevation plans that we submitted to you at the Special Permits Committee meeting on October 7th. So I'd
Make a
like to
motion that all the
submit
documents are received collectively and made part of the permanent record.
Second on the motion,
Yes, a motion and a second, all in favor?
the chair.
Yes.
Attorney Tarby, what's the date on the revised site plan?
It's in the conditions here. It's August 9th, revised November 11th, revised November 14th. That was the first sheet. And then second sheet, November 11th, revised November 14th. Sheets 3 and 4 dated November 11th, 2024, revised November 14th, 2024. And then sheet A-02, which was the site plan that we originally submitted. That did not have a date on it.
Okay, all right,
It's,
thank you.
Okay.
You good?
You have a motion on the floor.
Yes, there's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Okay. In addition, just to save the clerk, again, we do have a copy of Scott's PowerPoint that he's going to present in a couple minutes.
Well, that he was going to
Make a motion that
present.
we
Oh, is
also
it?
accept that as.
Okay, it's not
You need me
working.
to,
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That
HDMI
passes.
it should be there.
connection.
Can we get chairs first? Can we get chairs first?
These are fine. I'm more worried about the chairs.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say, Madam Clerk, do you want me to assist you in passing out the document?
Okay, these are all collated, and then you got this too.
They'll probably say, this is just, that's 10 copies of the presentation.
Okay.
You counselor?
Gracias.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Doing great work, Joe.
It's good work, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, so the petitioner is seeking approval of special permits under section 5.1.5, section 8.3.3, and section 12.2 of the zoning ordinance to allow for 6 residential dwelling units above the first story in a commercial structure at 477 Main Street, and the parking of 5 vehicles within the municipal parking lot. So at the city council public hearing we had on August 20th, the principal concern was the color scheme of the proposed building. As you know, after that public hearing, my client spent time with Councilor Demers on a new color scheme, which we presented to the Special Permits Committee on October 7th. At the conclusion of that committee meeting, the committee voted to send the petition out for action. Everyone at that time appeared to be happy with the color scheme and design, but it was sent out for action because DPW superintendent hadn't provided his comments. Since that meeting, he has provided his comments, and Scott and I will address those comments. But I just want to review one thing before we get into the comments. We had submitted the site distance plan that we provided this evening to the building commissioner. I spoke with him today, and he's satisfied that the columns on each side of the building will not obstruct views from Salem Street, but stated the final vote is that of the city council. Section 6.2.4, talks about buildings being built right on the street line, and the perfect example, and I think the building that caused that ordinance to be adopted was at the corner of Prospect Street and High Street. As you come down Prospect Street to take a right on High Street, it's right there on the building. This particular building stops 14.4 feet from Main Street, so it's not on the street that this ordinance seeks to make sure there's no obstruction. So we did provide that plan, which clearly shows there's a no issue with the site distance or obstruction from the building to vehicles that are coming out on on Salem Street onto Main Street. In addition, Scott prepared a maneuverability study, and we'll address that right now relative to the comments from the DPW superintendent and assistant city engineer relative to the functioning of the 7 on-site parking spaces. So Scott, do you want to move over here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for the record, Scott Thornton with Vanessa & Associates. As Attorney Tarby mentioned, we prepared a couple memorandums. One was October 29th site distance memorandum, and the other was a November 12th maneuverability study. Actually going to go through the conclusions of the maneuverability study first. So we reviewed the ability of vehicles to access the 2 parking spaces that are closest to Salem Street. And we prepared a number of analyses looking at the vehicles accessing those spaces from either direction on Salem Street using auto turn software, which simulates the path of the vehicles. So what's shown here is figure 1. This depicts the paths of vehicles entering the spaces, whether they're coming from the west, coming from Main Street, or coming from the east on Salem Street. Figure 2 shows the paths of vehicles exiting those spaces, and so they're, in some cases they're reversing out, or in some cases they're reversing in to the spaces. We use a standard passenger vehicle as identified in AASHTO. That's larger than most average vehicle, or than the average vehicle nowadays. It's bigger than some Ford F-150s, but it's bigger than a Grand Cherokee. So it's a pretty substantial vehicle. The vehicles are able to enter and exit the spaces without encroaching on a utility pole, which is actually right in this area, shown in here. So the vehicles can get in and get out without approaching that utility pole. We had prepared these plans before there was the commitment by the applicant to install the do not block pavement markings and the signage for motorists to not block that area. In addition, the applicant is adding some motion detector warning signs above the garage entrance on both sides for Salem
Correct,
and
yes,
for Campbell Street, which will alert pedestrians or motorists that are on the streets that vehicles are about to enter the street. We think basically two spaces the vehicles exiting from two spaces over the course of the day. That's probably 2 to 3 times, maybe, is not likely to cause undue congestion in the area. We think that it's a similar condition that exists elsewhere in the city, and we don't anticipate any issues from vehicles for those two spaces exiting out onto Salem Street. Did you want to go over? Do you want to continue on this, or do you want to go over the site distance portion?
No, you can do the site distance.
Okay. So the other memo that we talked about was the site distance review, and it's primarily an issue at unsignalized intersections and for issues for roadways traveling or for vehicles traveling on a roadway. The traffic signal at Main Street and Salem Street really eliminates the site distance issue for the unsignalized perspective. But we reviewed sight lines both as it relates to AASHTO and their requirements for intersection site distance, and also as it pertains to the Woburn zoning code, as Joe mentioned, for section 6.2.4. So we looked at the sight lines for a vehicle 14.5 feet back from the edge of the traveled way on Salem Street. That's depicted by the blue line that's shown on Figure 3. And then we also looked at the sight line for a vehicle that was, say, parked at the stop bar on Salem Street, which would have the driver's eye located 8 feet behind the stop bar, and that's indicated by the red line. And in both conditions, you can see that the sight lines don't encroach on the building layout at all. So we think that with the building being set back 14.4 feet from the curb, there's a nice buffer that's there that allows for sight distance for vehicles coming from Salem Street. Again, we don't think it's an issue anyway because of the traffic signal. And then lastly, the other thing we looked at was crash data for this intersection for 3 years, and we only found one crash that involved a conflict between a vehicle on Main Street and a vehicle on Salem Street. So we don't think there's any crash history there, and we think that the analysis for the site distance, the analysis for the maneuverability shows that those spaces and the site can be accommodated on the network. I'll turn it back over to you. Or?
Sure, okay, thanks. So in terms of the comments from engineering and DPW, I'd like to respond to those as I review the list of proposed conditions that we submitted this evening. So at the Special Permits Committee meeting on October 7th, the first 12 conditions we presented to the committee that night. And the first one is typical condition 1, referencing the site plan of record. Condition 2, limiting the development to 6 residential units. Number 3, requiring exterior building illumination shielded in such a manner that will prevent direct light from impacting abutting properties. 4, during the site development and construction phases, petitioner shall maintain all adjoining roadways and sidewalks free and clear of all debris. And number 5, we had hours for exterior work on the premises from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays, no work on Sundays or state or federal holidays recognized by the city of Woburn. Number 6, adequate pest control in place prior to commencement of any site disturbance and maintained throughout all site redevelopment and construction phases. And 7, the indoor trash disposal area shall be accessible to both the residential units and the commercial unit. Number 8 requires as-built plans provided at the conclusion of the project to the satisfaction of the engineering department. 9 requires the petitioner to pay into the Downtown Parking Enhancement Fund a sum of $22,500 for parking spaces which spaces are not guaranteed in the municipal parking facilities that substitute for petitioners' required off-site parking. So that would provide for 5, that would be the cost for 5 spaces, if you will. 7 would be on-site. Then number 10, all sale agreements and condominium documents will include language that parking for the units is not guaranteed for the units, and this language shall run with the land, and the landowner shall not advertise parking being available for the units. Number 11 requires any signage for the commercial space to comply with the Woburn zoning ordinances as amended. And then number 12, subject to the approval of the City of Woburn Traffic Commission, city engineer, superintendent of public works, the petitioner shall install a do not block driveway sign and associated striping on Salem Street at the entrance to the petitioner's parking area as shown on the site plan. Now, beginning with number 13, this condition states the petitioner shall install at the entrances and exits at both Campbell Street and Salem Street a pedestrian warning illuminated sign when a vehicle is prepared to exit the proposed building. The sign shall be placed so they're visible for cars and pedestrians traveling in both conditions. So as Scott indicated, if you look at the site plan, it does show the illuminated sign here. That helps towards the concern about the 2 vehicles that would be exiting out onto Salem Street into the do not block the box area. Number 14 goes to the to Mr. Duran's comment as to water. We did do a fire flow test, which Jay indicated appears to be adequate. My client reviewed with Mark Smith at the fire department, who was satisfied with that as well. And we have a condition 14 that addresses Jay's request that the existing water service shall be cut and capped at the main when the new water connections are installed. Number 15, the existing sewer shall be cut off at the main during the installation of the other services as requested. In addition, the petitioner shall install a fully accessible H20 manhole in the garage. This was a request that was made by Mr. Duran under sewer. And on number 16, the condominium association shall be responsible for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of the on-site drainage system. As Mr. Duran indicated, that this was something that he insists upon, and he had no issues with this concept as long as there's absolutely no discharge to the city right-of-way. We also added a condition 17, there shall be no discharge to the city right-of-way. Condition 18 was at the request of the building commissioner, is that he wanted to see a sequencing plan for construction that would need to be approved by both the DPW superintendent and himself due to the location of the building being close to city public ways and the sidewalks. And then number 19, as mitigation for this project shall be, and this addresses sidewalk and roadway restoration on Mr. Duran's memo. Petitioner will replace the sidewalks and curbing along its property lines on Salem Street and Campbell Street as shown on the site plan. B, the petitioner shall replace the sidewalk on the Main Street side of the property as shown on the site plan. That is that 14.4 foot area in front of the building. And then C, the condominium association shall be responsible for maintaining and repainting the striping on Salem Street from normal wear and tear. This obligation should not apply to any damage to the striping caused by City of Woburn and utility companies. So in the event that there's a city project where they're putting piping in Salem Street and they disturb the striping, they will need to repair it. Same with any utility companies. And then number 20, again at the request of building commissioner, 30 days prior to any request for a temporary or final occupancy permit for the last unit, the petitioner shall provide proof to the building commissioner and DPW superintendent that such work referenced in condition 19 has been completed as shown on the site plan. Move into city engineers highlighted language on the report that was submitted today. Under general, we've already addressed 6.2.4, so that's no longer an issue. Moving to the second page, Scott, through his presentation, has addressed that. We've also addressed it with the signage, signage beacons on either side of the garage area. And under water and utilities, we have presented the fire flow test, the DPW and the water department. Tony Blaschowski indicates there's plenty of water at that site. And Jay in his report indicated that it appears to be adequate. And then on the sewer comment, I'd like you just to refer to the first plan on the plan set. And I can see why the comment was made. There's a comment here that the MWRA oil trap is located outside the proposed building footprint and will be inaccessible for service and maintenance. The oil trap should be located to an area that is accessible. Well, if you look at the indentation right here, it looks like the MWRA oil trap is off the site, but that indentation is the second and third floors of the building. So the property line goes along where you see the proposed MWRA oil trap. So the oil trap is on 477 Main Street. It's not off the property. And then the last comment as to drainage. There's language in here that, first of all, the design engineer is responsible for the accuracy of the design and the functionality of the system. And there was a concern that since the system was constructed under the building floor, there'll be no opportunity for maintenance or repair should a failure of the system occur. In reality, we have provided access within the garage area. If you look at the first page of the site plan, you'll notice there are 4 chambers noted by the circles that allow cleanouts through those chambers. In addition, condition, what condition was it? Condition 15. We're also going to be adding an H20 manhole in the garage that will allow for additional access to repair any issue with the drainage system. So those are our comments to address the comments that were submitted by DPW and engineering.
Questions for Attorney Tarby? Yes, Councilor Demirs.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we've actually come a very long way here from the original proposal, and I wanted to thank the petitioner for his willingness to get to where we are today. Especially when, there were very large concerns relative to the drainage. And unlike some other proposals we've seen, we actually have access points that we requested in this plan. So I'm very thankful to see those access points in terms of if the drainage were to ever need to be repaired or cleaned out, they would be readily accessible. I do want to also touch on the condition that allows for the do not block the driveway, because I look at this as a twofold change that may be for the better on Salem Street there, because this is going to run right across the street. So I know a lot of us have seen it on Salem Street when, there's a backup that comes up Salem Street. Folks block the Dion liquor store parking lot in the rear. I think this is going to be added benefit on both sites with regards to nobody blocking the entrance and egress or exits there. I do also appreciate the sight lines, and I do appreciate the petitioner and his attorney reaching out to Commissioner Quinn to get his feedback on the line of sights. And also, I wanted to say one more thing about the conditions that we also included in terms of making sure that the condo association is responsible for any maintenance, repair, or replacement, and that there shall be no drainage discharge to the city right of way. Those conditions are going to be helpful in special permit review. If it ever becomes an issue, that would trigger the special permit review because those conditions exist in there. So I do thank the petitioner and Councilor Tarby for listening to those concerns from our department heads, and especially listening to the concerns of those that, at first, the more modern look of this structure was, we were very excited in our first meeting to see that something wanted to actually be done there. And I think when we all came down from our anticipatory high of it actually being something that was going to be redeveloped there, we took a longer look at the more modern look. So I do appreciate the petitioner for going to a more classic brick look with crown molding. It really is a beautiful turnaround from the existing, or from the original, I should say, proposal. We also made sure when discussing this project with the petitioner to make sure we could maximize the amount of parking spaces that we possibly could on site, to defer any of the issues that we would have been having if, a majority of them would have been in the municipal lot. So we're addressing that. I'd like to also remind the councilors that we do have a large parking lot that's going to be completed hopefully next spring at the end of Mann's Court, behind the stretch of shops on that side of Main Street. I actually went back there the other day. They did a tremendous job clearing out that area all the way up to Magazine Hill. It's currently stone, but once that gets paved, the city's going to have a lot of access to more parking back there. I'm hoping through our our parking study, and our push for more awareness to the city of Woburn and our residents of the additional parking or the accessible parking we have in the center will negate a lot of concerns that we had with the usage of the new lot at the old Strand block. With regards to pest control, I've received hundreds of calls since becoming alderman about issues with rats in the downtown area in my ward. So I do appreciate that a pest control plan is going to go over there, especially due to the fact that that structure has been vacant for quite some time. Yeah. So making sure that we respect the neighbors and make sure those critters don't disperse to other areas would be greatly appreciated. So that's all I have to say for right now. I'm going to let my colleagues who may have questions, concerns that they want to mention. But I also do want to commend the petitioner for being willing to include the mitigation that's included here, from the striping to the curbing and the reconstruction of the sidewalks around the building to make them more pedestrian accessible, since the site has been basically fenced up since it closed. So I do appreciate that as well. So with that, I will turn that back over to President Dillon until I have further comment at the end of the discussion.
Thank you. Councilor DeMambro.
Attorney Tarby, I commend you and your client. You have done unbelievable amount of work and revisions on these plans, between the drainage, the water, the oil water separators, everything. My only concern is that telephone pole. And the telephone pole that's in between, I guess you could say, rows 1 and 2. My only reason why I bring that up is it may not be considered an issue until someone has to back out. They may tap the nose trying to back out. They may tap their nose trying to pull in, because again, Salem Street can get a little crazy and a little hectic in that area. If someone was to get a little nervous and not pay attention that that pole is on their left or their right, it might cause them some vehicle damage. According to my meager measurements here, I was hoping maybe you could shift the pole, maybe 6 feet, if you could shift it closer to the building. I know it's a task trying to deal with Eversource and trying to move a utility pole, but in this instance, even if there was a protective barrier around that pole, I just feel that's just another obstruction. And again, every square inch counts on this particular project. So that utility pole would be my only concern. Other than that, I appreciate all the work, and I do like the project. Thank you. Thank you, President.
Could I just
Yes,
respond to that? Yeah, I guess would have no problem with the condition about putting a protective barrier around there. And we also, I don't know, Paul, whether you want to take steps to try to get the pole removed, but this council knows better than anyone how difficult it is to get the utility companies to move a pole.
Right. It's just something for future, for the residents that are there. I just don't want it to become an issue or an ongoing issue, and they're like, geez, why the hell didn't I move the pole? Do something, not realizing how much is involved to move a utility pole. But I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Any thoughts on that?
No, I think you're right. It takes a long time, as you all know, to have those poles relocated. But something like bollards or something on the site side of the pole would accomplish the same thing.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Councilor Mercia-Bruno.
Thank you. First, I want to commend the petitioner and Councilor Demers for all the work that's been done on this proposal. I had no doubt that you would get to all the nitty-gritty details, from drainage to all that. But I'm a little disappointed we didn't show the new drawing up, because there probably are some people at home who still haven't seen this revision. And the very first night we saw this, I took no exception to the size, but absolutely took exception to how it looked. And this is amazing. And I attribute that to the petitioner and Councilor Demers. And the detail, the brick facade, the eyebrows over the windows. I mean, this is a beautiful building that we can be proud of when you're approaching the center. And I'm so grateful to the people who worked on this. And the only other comment I would have is that I would like to see somewhere in the conditions that this building is what we're gonna get. I didn't see that in the conditions. So I would recommend that we have a condition that says the building that will be built is represented in the pictures that were presented to us. But that's just my final 2 cents. And I'm happy to vote and move this if the city councilor who represents the ward, Councilor Demers, is ready to do so tonight. I support it 100%. Bravo.
Thank you. Councilor Papalato.
Again, I commend you for the job you've done from the first version of this to the last, and Councilor Demers, you did an excellent job at this, but as I look at this picture, and I think that's the one you're speaking of,
Yes.
what I see is a really tall building there. So, and maybe it's because of the view that I'm seeing around it, but it's significantly larger than all the buildings in that area. Is that true of the rest of the landscape there, or is that deceiving by the picture?
Identify yourself for the record.
I think it's deceiving by the picture.
State your name, please, sir.
Oh, sorry, Paul Connolly for Campbell and Main
Address.
Street.
Thank you.
And I think there's actually we tried to do a rendering from the other site that showed some of the other buildings as well. That just happens to be a standalone spot where it's, it's got a street on either side, so it's really hard to get a good depiction of the other buildings that are close by. That is being kept to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the 40-foot that the code allows. So yeah, it's right in line with every other.
That's what I was gonna ask.
three-
Is it
right
in line with
every
the
other
rest of the
three-story
buildings?
structure through downtown Woburn.
Okay.
It just so happens that there's no real point of reference that would show that in that picture.
Yeah, because when you look at it, it looks like a,
Yeah, it's exact. I get it.
yep, okay, thank you.
Councilor Favullo.
Attorney Tarby, can I just ask a question about 19C, the striping?
I'm sorry?
19C on the conditions?
Yes.
That seems to be very open-ended, and it says Salem Street. That's like a 3-mile-long street, and this puts it all on you guys. The one that's, the condominium association shall be responsible for maintaining and repainting the striping on Salem Street from normal wear and tear. The obligation shall not apply to damage, so forth, so on. I think I'd feel more comfortable with clarification of 100 yards, 50 yards, or maybe put a fee to the DPW when they do the other painting. But it says that you're gonna own Salem Street as far as striping goes.
I believe, and maybe we can clarify, that's only regarding the no block box. And maybe we just need a line, I appreciate you actually bringing this up to our benefit, but I think maybe a line depicting that's the no block box that we're installing.
Okay, I mean,
Yes, maybe if that reads repainting the striping of the do not block. What language did you use here?
that makes up for the telephone pole.
Yeah, do not block driveway.
That was a very good catch, Counselor.
Yes,
It was a little ambiguous there.
sharp tonight.
Yeah.
Let the record show that the petitioner has on the screen the picture of the proposed building. Thank you.
They-
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. President, it just, to Councilor DeMambro's request, I just looked at Mr. Duran's memo, and he said the applicant should request that the pole be moved and/or bollards added for protection. So would be agreeable to a condition where we'd add bollards, around the pole.
Yes,
If
Councilor
I-
Demers.
If I may, so, in our current standing right now, we're looking at 19C. So as amended, that would read, "The condominium association shall be responsible for maintaining and repainting the striping of the do not block the box on Salem Street from normal wear and tear." That would be the amended language you're
Yes.
agreeable to? All right, and then we
Want to make
could,
a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that we amend 19C in the working draft.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. That passes.
If I may, I'd like to propose to the petitioner a condition number 21, which would, the petitioner will install protective bollards to protect the utility pole near the Salem Street egress of the structure.
Yes.
Okay,
The second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. That passes.
okay, would the petitioner have any objections? I'd like to just do two additional. That would just be 22 and 23 would be filing a construction plan with the building commissioner, whereas where the materials and equipment that'll be working on the site will be stored during construction.
Sure.
Yes, yep.
And then the same would be for demolition as well.
Oh, sure.
So that would be 2023, so a demolition plan, just so that everybody in the city is informed who needs to be. And then I don't take any exception to my colleague from Ward 5's recommendations with regards to including some language that would be in the special permit conditions relative to the design. But I can honestly tell you that I think I've made it very, well, first, I don't know whether, I mean, we could reference the plans, I think it was sheet A20 and A21 from context, your architect, that had at least the design scope of it. It would be pretty, I mean, we're doing brick facade, so I don't know how specific we want to get in terms of colors or,
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
So, for me, how this building looked from the very first night was a big deal. This representation is what gets me over the edge
Right.
to vote for it. So, it's very important to me that what is represented here is what is going to be built. So, I'm not gonna talk about colors, but I think at the very least, we should reference the picture as a condition, that the building will represent the picture that's been submitted to the city council, including the detail, design work with the eyebrows and the dental molding and the brick facade. That's all very important. Those are very important things. And I trust that the petitioner will do it, but it's also my responsibility to verify that it will be done, and this is how we do it, through this contract.
if
Absolutely.
I may,
Councilor Demias.
Counselor, excuse me, President Dillon, through you to
Yes.
Counselor Mercer Bruin. If I could bring your attention to A20 and A21, the drawn designs that show the elevation, that specifically point out gold panel inside, or gold paint inside arch, red brick, the fiber cement panels, and other details, including the heights. Would that, and to the petitioner, would that be okay if we just reference those two sheets?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and those are dated October 3rd, 2024.
All I will say, through the chair.
Yes, Councilor
is
Bruin.
if I were doing this, I would call it out in the special permit. And the reason I would call it out is because it's a lot easier to say, oh, yeah, the building looks the way they said it was, than in 2 years going back, when it's built, and somebody says, well, I don't remember that that's how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be something else. Nobody's gonna dig through those papers, is all I'm saying. I'll
Yeah,
defer
no,
to you, Counselor.
I
I'll defer to
understand.
you, it's
It's
your
just-
ward, but I would handle it differently.
This is a hypothetical that we request from petitioners.
Well, as
It's
far as
basically,
I'm concerned,
at
it's
this
not a
point, AI.
hypothetical.
I know, but it's AI generated.
Yep.
All right? And I believe strongly, through my work with the petitioner, that if we were going to mention what we've seen here today, this has been publicly demonstrated to the council and the citizens of Woburn.
There's no way to, through the chair, there's no way to really, if you are comfortable doing it, what you want to do, then that's fine.
I would need
defer
further
to you.
clarification as to the legality of us saying that picture, it's got to look like that. Because that is not a legal statement.
That it would be represented, you can reference, I'm suggesting you reference all the things that you referenced, and then reference the picture that we've been provided.
If
There's
it
an
helps, I'd be
expectation.
comfortable.
Is there any objection from the petitioner?
I'd be comfortable with some language along the lines of meeting the integrity of the
Okay.
aesthetic in page X.
All right, so
Thank you very much.
we'll go with condition number 24, that the construction of the building shall reflect the two previews that were provided by the petitioner, including the elevations A20 and A21.
Second.
I completely missed that. You still haven't done 22 or 23 yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll make a motion that the,
You mentioned 22 and 23, but there's no
I'm
motions.
sorry, I'll make a motion that condition 22 would be the filing of a construction plan with building commissioner before construction begins to include the location of materials and equipment.
Second.
Sorry.
Motion,
I have them written down, Madam
We
Clerk,
get
I can
to-
hand you after.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
thank you. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion that we amend the working draft to include condition 23 the filing of the demolition plan with the building commissioner prior to the demolition or raising of the existing gas station structure.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
All right, now I gotta
And-
remember what I said for 24.
Counselor Toro, when you're good?
Meeting in.
Construction of the building shall reflect the previews as provided by the petitioner, including the elevations pages A20 and A21 dated October 3rd, 2024.
Did you want a meeting integrity aesthetic, is the petitioner mentioned?
I'll second that, and I'll also thank the counselor.
There's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I think we're good now as the ward counselor. I think that covers up some of the concerns that were still lingering.
Very good.
We've come a long way from the initial filing. So I'll leave it at that from my perspective on this project moving forward, Mr. President.
Very good. Anyone else? Motion to open the public hearing.
Or I'll make that motion.
A motion-
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward now. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you? Christopher Sylvia, 13 Bennett Street. And I just want to say I think this is exactly the sort of thing that we should be doing in Woburn Center. And, you know, having a main street like this is one of the things that, you know, makes this town great. And, you know, taking a vacant property and putting it in service, having the combination of both retail and apartments there, you know, that's exactly what we should be doing. And I sort of wish more real estate capital was doing things that way. And so I want to encourage the council to vote in favor of this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter? How are you, sir?
Good. Pat Conley, 83 Montville Ave, no relation to the proponent, but also want to say my comments in favor of this project. Some of the last comments, this is exactly what's there. I walk all the side streets pretty much every day with my dog and my 6-month-old, and it's great to see something that's not closed up and fenced in, as I said before. I'm glad the council's not afraid of height here, and I think the lofts on the upper floors will be an interesting addition to the city. I don't know if we have that yet. I'm blank on the rest, but appreciate it. And I appreciate the Councilor Demers' comments about parking in the first hearing on August 20th. I appreciated that you pointed out there's plenty of parking. It's a parking management issue. I didn't know about the additional lot that's underway now. So glad that the council's taken a larger perspective on this and not just focused on the one lot that's next to this project.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward.
Making a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
A motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I will make a motion that we grant the special permit with the 24 conditions as proposed this evening.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats. Thank you. Good luck.
Yes,
Good luck, sir.
congratulations, good luck.
Next item on the agenda is 25 Everett Street Realty Trust for a special permit on sections 5.15 and 8.3.3 of the Woburn zoning ordinances as amended for the construction of a mixed-use building consisting of commercial space and 8 residential units above, use of municipal parking lot facilities at 0 Walnut Street. A communication dated October 3rd, 2024 was received from Jay Duran, the Superintendent of Public Works, as well as a communication dated November 8th, 2024 from Attorney James Giuliano. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Good
Yes,
evening
sir.
again,
You have
Mr.
the floor
President. James Giuliano, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street, here in Woburn for the record on behalf of the petitioner. With me here tonight is Joe Maluski, Steve Balsavich, and our engineer Jack Sullivan, who will be speaking a little bit about the changes since Jay Duran's last correspondence on October 3rd. As you can see, this has been lingering since our petition filing in April. This was a special permit, just to recall, under section 5.1.5 and 8.3.3. There were two lingering issues that we have been going back and forth with through committee and several continuances with the council. One being the parking, obviously. We are now through extensive revisions of the plan of the building itself, are asking for a waiver of 9 spots instead of the original 11. We were originally proposing 5 spots on site. Now we're proposing 7, which we were able to increase it by 2. If you remember, the project is 8 units, 8 residential units with commercial down below. So just to recap, the October 3rd correspondence from Jay Duran was addressed by Jack Sullivan, the engineer. We do have a submittal that the clerk mentioned that was dated November 8th addressing those concerns. I just want to point out too, I don't know if the council remembers, back in 2020, this was approved prior, the same, not similar building, but similar footprint. I don't say similar building only because we had to reconfigure the building to fit additional parking spaces. But the footprint itself was approved back in 2020. A lot of the utilities, as Mr. Sullivan will corroborate with me tonight, were put in. So a lot of the fire flow testing, the sewer testing, that was all put in and sort of discussed with Mr. Duran back in 2020. We do have correspondence with the back and forth relating to that. So, and again, I'll have Jack come up and just sort of go over the nuances of that are outside of my expertise. But those are all addressed. At this stage, our drainage and infiltration is very robust. I think you can see that. We are infiltrating 100% of on-site water, 100% within our infiltration chambers. That means in a 100-year storm, there is capability of our infiltration to hold all of the rainwater. For a site like this that is extreme, it is again robust, and we're happy to do that. I know that was sort of what was requested by Jay Duran, requested by the council. We were able to meet that infiltration, and we're happy to do that. But essentially what I'm getting at, it doesn't get much better than that for infiltration. We can't hold any more than a 100-year storm for 100% of the on-site water that's going onto it. So we feel like we've put the Cadillac of infiltration systems in place at this point in time. So again, we have submitted basically just redundancies on the plans. Some of the plans have changed, more the civil plans that we submitted on November 8th. Again, going back to what I said before, I know from 6-7 months ago, plans have been revised. So, obviously one of the conditions we would ask, just to make things clearer for the council and ourselves, is that the site plans, the civil plans, the drainage analysis that was submitted on 11/8 be the plan of record, just because we wanted to corroborate everything and make sure everything was spot on accurate with 6 and 7 months of going back and forth. Also, the only other condition we would ask is, a parking enhancement fund and the amount of $40,500 would be deposited by my client. That being said, I think I've beaten a dead horse with my macro level analysis of the parking in downtown, so I won't really go into that tonight. But I think at this point we are asking the council to close the public hearing and render a vote based on what we have submitted. But before we do that, I would obviously entertain any questions. But I want to bring up Jack Sullivan, the engineer, to sort of go over the nuances and the minutiae of what we actually changed from the October 3rd letter from Jay Duran to now. So,
How are you, Mr. Sullivan?
I am good tonight. Thank you, council members. For the record, my name's Jack Sullivan. I'm owner of the Sullivan Engineering Group, 25 Clover Circle, Reading, Massachusetts. I just want to echo what Attorney Giuliano was stating. The water and sewer services were stubbed off of Walnut Street in 2020 prior to paving. The developer had received notice that Walnut Street would be paved. Once the street's paved, they don't really like to see you cut it for utilities. So they stubbed off 3 water surfaces, 2 domestic services, 1 for the residential use for this project, 1 for the commercial use. They also stubbed off the fire protection line. Additionally, the sewer service was stubbed off. So all these utilities were stubbed off. They're reflected on the civil plan. And as far as the drainage system goes, I think the council's aware, Jay Duran had asked for a confirmatory soil test hole to be dug to confirm soil conditions in the groundwater table from the 2020 soil test hole that we did. Jay was on site, witnessed the soil testing. I was on site. The soils were consistent with the 2020 results. The groundwater table was the same. At that meeting, he asked if we could expand the system to store the entire storm. He didn't want to see any runoff out to Everett Street or to the surrounding properties. Last fall, you know, we had some of those flash flood events. There was like a 2-week period we got hit with some intense rainstorms. I guess there was some flooding concerns in that area, so we went over the top. We're storing the 100-year storm, which for the council's information is an 8.2-inch rain event over a 24-hour period. It's a pipe and stone system. There's no overflow to any of the abutting properties or to Everett Street or off-site. Everything's stored and then is infiltrated. So I think we've gone above and beyond. It's a bit of a unique drainage system where we're storing some of the water below slab and some below the access roadway. We're also digging out soil beneath the system an additional 2 feet throughout the system and putting a crushed stone layer that we're taking no credit for in our infiltration. But we will get more storage. We will get more storage with that, but when you're designing stormwater systems, you can't take any credit within 2 feet of the groundwater table for additional stone, but we were asked to put in additional stone so we're gonna even contain more than the 100-year storm. So I'll turn it back to Attorney Giuliano. I'll gladly take any questions, but I think that steps you through the stormwater and the utilities for this site.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, Councilor Papalato.
I feel like this is another case where, like the last one that we talked about, where you've made an enormous amount of changes, you've conformed to everything everybody's asked you for. This area needs some revitalization, and what you're doing certainly supplies that, so I'll be in favor of this tonight.
Councilor DeMambro.
I'm in agreement with my colleague, Councilor Papalato. You guys have gone above and beyond. I'm thrilled to hear about the infiltration system. I appreciate you going above and beyond on this, even if it holds a 125-year storm. As you know, it's a low-lying area over there. There's no real way to really connect into Mishawam Road. So I appreciate everything and all the efforts that you guys have put into the design. Attorney Giuliano, I know this has been a long haul for you and your client, and I appreciate everything and your patience. And I appreciate adhering to what Superintendent Duran and our engineering department has put forth in their requests, because all in all, it is for the betterment. And not only is it betterment for the city for the drainage, but that structure that you will soon to be built will be a betterment for that whole area down there. And I appreciate everything that you guys have done, and I will be in support of this. Thank you.
Councilor Demirs.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the things that caught my eye in our previous petitioners, one of the comments by engineering was, the design engineer is responsible for the accuracy of the design and the functionality of the system to operate as designed. So I think with any types of plans, whether it's architecture, engineering, or whatnot, we do all have to take a leap of faith, but we have to rely on the professionals in our society that do this every day to make sure. And what I did not know that the engineer had just mentioned was that there's going to be, you're going down farther with crushed stone, so that if there were any liabilities that occurred, that crushed stone would be able to absorb that on-site. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so that, we've gone above and beyond with the 100% on-site, and we even have a redundancy in place. I have to be in favor of this project. I think that site has been vacant for far too long. We're looking for redevelopment opportunities like this, and I mean, I could think of it in this terms. Even if they put a residential home on that site, we wouldn't get 100% drainage on site. No one would be able to afford that as a resident trying to put a single-family home on a site, because they'd have the runoff, they'd obviously have, land that would absorb a lot of that drainage, but, to get 100% drainage on site is pretty remarkable, and we've had 2 projects come before us that designed just that. So I'll be supporting the petition this evening. I do wanted to just circle back to Attorney Giuliano. Do we have a list of conditions for this particular?
So with this petition, I
And
just
I only
didn't,
mention that because I think that, there should be some outlined responsibility for that liability as we have in previous petitions.
yeah, and the reason why we have only 2 that I mentioned tonight is because there was moving targets, I think, a little bit with the drainage. Obviously, the knowns were the parking fund, the knowns were the plans that we have in record. With, relating to the onus being on the petition, obviously, we can certainly add that as a condition as well. It's sort of implied being, obviously, a stamped plan, a stamped engineering plan that,
Sure.
The plans are accurate and we are backing those plans up. So we can certainly add that as a condition. But no, this one was an anomaly for me, only because, it's been 6 or 7 months and,
Right.
Again, there was a lot of moving targets and a lot of fluidness that, we sort of had to sort of work with. And, typically we have conditions that we're ready to present. This one
I mean, I'm willing to vote on this evening. I just think if there were further concerns raised by some of my colleagues, that maybe just one more condition that basically outlined the responsibility of that drainage system to be the property owners to repair if it would ever fail.
Yeah, we would 100% be in agreement with that.
Okay,
I think
just
that's,
wanted to get that so that once we get to the finality of this, we may
Yep.
use that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the petitioner. This is a blighted area. This development is really needed for the area to beautify it and to make more people want to come down to Woburn Center. I did some research, and as we were saying, we do have a parking mismanagement issue. The Man's Court parking lot that is going in be roughly, I believe it was 30 to 40 parking spots. It's 0.2 of a mile walk, which is about 3 minutes. Personally, I don't see that as a problem. We have the Walnut Street parking lot, which is there. We have the parking lot on Main Street right below this. Originally, I was against this project just because we were going to be using some of the city's parking spaces. However, knowing what we do have for spots in the area surrounding here and everything that is going into this project, where we came from in the beginning to where we are now, I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Campbell.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all the work that you've done. I've made it clear that from the beginning that I really was not for this project, mainly because of the parking. I did not want, at the time, it was more than 9 spaces, it was 11 spaces that would be used with municipal parking. So, but now we're down to 9. So it's 7 on site, so I thank you for that, because I know it's hard to maneuver all of that. And also, because of Man's Court being done, the parking, which we didn't have when this first came before us, I will vote for this tonight. Because of that, we will have the parking, and as my colleague said, with 0.2 of a mile away, anybody that would be renting these facilities would be someone who is used to parking or going, using bus stops and things like that, especially since they'll know that there might not be parking for them. They won't have designated parking. So I will vote for this tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. And this has been kicking around for quite some time,
Yes.
Attorney, right?
2 petitions in 7 months from the second one, correct?
I absolutely support what's been presented tonight. And the drainage, You know, when people have problems with water, once we have problems, there's no fixing it. So this solution, I haven't seen a lot of on-site filtration systems because they are quite expensive. So nicely done, and absolutely I'll support it 100%. And I know my fellow counselors and I are going to address this parking management problem sooner rather than later. I mean, gosh, we have people parking up in these lots. They're dropping their cars off and going out of town for a few days and using our parking to do it. So we'll address that. I know we will as a body soon. So good luck and thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor DeMambro.
Just a quick correction. I misspoke. I said Mishawam Road. I meant Montfield. So, that's all.
I did notice that. I didn't want to.
I know, I saw it in your face, and I was like, oh, man, he caught me.
Thank you.
Councilor DeMambro.
So per our earlier discussion, if I may propose a third condition,
Sure.
that the petitioner shall be responsible for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of the on-site drainage system.
Perfect.
Is that agreeable to the petitioner?
It is.
I'll make that in the form of a,
There's no motions been voted on for conditions.
sorry?
You need all three conditions. There's been
Oh,
no
I'm sorry.
motion for conditions.
Okay. So the first one was the site plan on record?
Dated, yeah, all site plans and drainage analysis that were submitted on November 8th.
And the second one was?
Second one was with relating to the deposit of the $40,500 from the petitioner into the parking enhancement fund.
Okay, and with that drafted one right there, that would be the three as the working draft that we have right before us? Does that need to be combined in a form of a motion?
What
then?
is the third?
That the petitioner shall be responsible for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of the on-site drainage system. So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'll echo the sentiments of Councilor Mercer Bruin that I'm probably the most excited for that parking study to come back. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. if there's one.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Motion that special permit be granted with the three agreed upon conditions as we discussed this evening.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
I want to thank everyone for this one. This was a long and tough one, but we got through it, and I appreciate it.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Next item on the agenda is Treetop Home LLC for a special permit on a section 7.3 of the 1985 Woburn zoning ordinance as amendment to raise a pre-existing non-conforming four-family dwelling and rebuild a new four-story dwelling at 5 Bennett Street. The communication dated November 18, 2024 was received from attorney James A. Giuliano with reference to requesting a continuance for this matter.
Make a motion that communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. President. Again, Attorney James Giuliano, Giuliano Law Group, 607 Main Street here in Woburn. We just want to make notice that we've had a couple conversations. I've had a couple conversations with my client. We've had a couple conversations with the neighbors. I think from the last meeting, we all know where that was going, and we're going to extensively make substantial changes to the plans with the neighbors' thoughts in mind. So there will be substantial changes, so we are asking for a continuance. Right now, I think the next meeting is December 3rd. I may push that out. I think based on my conversation with the architect, they're going to have to revamp a lot of things. So I don't want to put her to a timetable because I know they get upset with that. So I just as a heads up, the expectation, we're going to try for December 3rd, but if I can't get something submitted within a week or two prior to that, which is coming up with the holiday, so I think it's probably going to be pushed to the second meeting in December.
Filing deadline is this Friday.
Yeah, so why don't we continue to the second meeting in December then?
December 17th.
Yep, I think that's more realistic.
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward.
Make a motion that we continue the public hearing to the regular meeting of December 3rd?
Second.
December 17th. What did I say? December 17th, my apologies.
Second.
Second and on the motion?
Yes.
I just wanted to check in to see if any attempts have been made to clean things up a little bit over there in the meantime, since we last met.
Yes, great question, and they have been. I drove past there last week. There was a workout bench in the backyard that's been cleaned out. All the debris has been cleaned out, so it looks much more presentable. I did mention that to my client after the last meeting, and it has been cleaned out, so.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Woburn Madison Holdings for proposed zoning amendment to Woburn zoning ordinance, Section 2, definitions of a mixed-use hotel restaurant to include or more contiguous development lots in Section 6 and 6.1 of the table of dimensional regulations to add footnote 6 III at 369, for land at 369 Washington Street. A communication dated October 8th, 2024 was received from John Cashel, the planning director. Further communication dated November 13th, 2024 was received from Attorney Joseph R. Tarby. Two of them. One was for proposed amendments of Section 2, and one says special permit petition of Madison Holdings. The second one is for a request to continue.
Make a motion that all communications be received and made part of the permanent record?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Through the chair to Madam Clerk, when is this for December 17th? Just wanted to confirm.
I believe so.
Make a motion that we continue the public hearing to the regular meeting of the City Council on December 17th.
Second.
And on the motion?
Yes.
I want to continue to express my concerns about this. I know the planning board's approved it, but we've essentially, and in the interest of time, I'm going to give the Reader's Digest version here. We've taken what essentially was one parcel and split it into two. And for those of you that don't know, there are several special permits that sit on this property. So every single decision of those special permits could be impacted by the action that we take. There's also the question of access of egress and ingress. So I hope when we take this to committee that we spend a lot more time on it than was previously spent. There could have actually been some zoning violations that have happened as a result of the decision that happened at the planning board. So I hope that we're going to really dig deep into this and get under the covers. So that's my comment, and I thank you for the time.
Sure. Thank you. Councilor Demus.
Just on that, I just wanted to clarify that that comment was about the planning board and not the Committee on Ordinance, because we
No, it was
held
about
off-
the planning board.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Yes,
sure.
yeah, I'm concerned about their decision.
Because the Committee
so-
on Ordinance had held off discussing it because we wanted all this
I'm
information to come in before.
thankful that you clarified it. I have concerns that the actions that were taken by the planning board could have created some zoning violations. I've had several conversations with our building commissioner, and I just want to make sure that we really understand this before we move forward. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is a petition to determine whether the property located at 4 Mayward Terrace is a nuisance as determined described in Mass General Law, Chapter 139, Section 1. A communication dated November 18th, 2024, was received from Thomas E. Quinn Jr., Building Commissioner.
Make a motion the communication be received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Council Mercer Bruin was the sponsor.
Yes, Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. If the council will indulge me, I know it's, we've been here and we have a lot of people waiting tonight. I'm just going to sort of frame this for everybody and how we got to this position. First, I'm going to say this is not something I take lightly. I've been on the city council for 18 years. This is only the second time I've ever requested that we have a conversation about a property being a public nuisance. And how we got here, frankly, is a series of events starting from 2017 to now, of a variety of issues, including trash, including using the home as a rental property, and not even just a rental property, but as a Airbnb. That goes back several years ago. Unregistered cars on the property, where our building commissioner has constantly had to chase this property owner because some of those unregistered cars were being used for people to go outside and have parties in. Also, the exterior of the grounds, in many, many cases over the years, has been deplorable. You'll probably see some pictures tonight. I know that you're going to see some pictures in what's been provided from our building inspector, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. So he dated, and I thanked him for dating all of the violations. He saved all of the pictures that I've sent him over the years. He says, regarding the above address, attached is the memo, our letters and brief outline of each letter that was sent to the property owner regarding numerous issues during the last 8 years that the City of Woburn Inspectional Services Department has had to deal with due to the owner not dealing with the tenants to whom occupy the dwelling. I will advise that all issues were resolved. However, as they have been ongoing, I did make reference in my letter to the owner on September 4th that I would request that the City Council declare this property a public nuisance for the issues cited and the amount of time city resources have had to deal with this to address due to owners not holding their tenants accountable. So that's what brings us here tonight, is a variety of complaints over a variety of years. I'm going to submit for the council's benefit a copy of the police report, several police reports that date back a few years. I'm also going to make a couple of motions before we hear from the public. And the first is that we hear from the tax assessor to make sure that the taxes are up to date on this,
Treasurer collector.
collector. That's what my notes say, but that's not what my mouth said. So, from the treasurer collector to make sure that Fort Maywood is up to date on taxes. That's in the form of a motion?
Second.
Motion to have me send a communication to them requesting that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'd also like to make a motion that we send a communication to the chief of our fire department, asking him to provide a detailed breakdown of the calls that have been that have taken place at this property since 2017.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'd also like to make a request that we get the same report from the Board of Health, how many times that he has visited this property since 2017.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
So having said that, I'm going to leave this to the residents to explain to you what they've been going through over the past several years. It's been difficult at best, and I thank you for hearing them out. And again, I don't take this action lightly. It's my hope that we'll be able to resolve some of these things. But I will leave it to you, President, to explain to the folks that are here how this works and what happens next.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. So is there anyone here in the audience that would like to come forward and speak on this matter? Please step forward. How are you, sir?
Evening. Ben Kordick, 36 Beach Street.
Thank you.
Where to begin? All right, so thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name's Ben Kordick. I live at 36 Beach Street. I'm here to address the ongoing nuisance and safety issues caused at the property, which have severely impacted our neighbors' quality of life, safety, and property values. I'd like to outline the most pressing concerns in 6 main areas. As Darlene has alluded to, these are not in timeline order. They're just kind of my thoughts. So take them for what they are. Frequent verbal altercations. Loud arguments are constantly had, often outside the house in full view of the neighborhood. These are not isolated incidents, but happen late at night or any time during the day. typically disrupting the peace. One just happened the other night, frankly, middle of the night, yelling and screaming. A fight was heard recently, demonstrating ongoing nature of the issue. It feels as though they want to display these conflicts to everyone, which is frustrating and deeply annoying to the neighbors trying to maintain a sense of normalcy, which I've lived in this property my entire life. I bought it from my grandparents. I'm 47 years old. This neighborhood's really peaceful and quiet. This has been a major, major disruption to us. Children's dangerous activities. So children are frequently left unsupervised, running into the street towards Beach Street, which anyone who knows Beach Street can be like very fast. Cars traveling through there at a high rate of speed. Little kids, not supervised. I'm talking about small kids in diapers running into the road. We are actively running out to grab them, stop them from doing that. It's twice it's happened. I have it on camera at my home. I've shared it with the police. And then just recently, one of the children was hit by a car in Maywood. So that's probably in the police report if you guys pull that. Hopefully that kid's okay. Teenagers with bicycles and mopeds. So it's a constant ongoing thing with the neighborhood. We have mini bikes flying up and down the street. We have teenagers riding wheelies into oncoming traffic. Makes a lot of sense to me. No one seems to want to police that or talk to the kids around that. Parties. So recently we had a party at the house. Found it was okay to block my driveway with the vehicles. Just blocked my driveway. Can't get out. That's cool. Then we had another party where teenagers were throwing trash over the fence and playing a game that they were going to jump over my fence, leading my wife to have to go outside and talk to them about that and ask them to stop doing that. All right, to the serious stuff. So drug-related and suspicious activity. So on one occasion, the entire neighborhood watched in horror as EMTs provided life support to a victim who had overdosed. Just a few hours later, the EMTs had to return to the property to address another overdose of a family member. Tragically, one of those victims did not survive, leaving the neighborhood shaken and traumatized. And these incidents not only create a traumatic experience for the neighbors, because the kids had to watch a lot of this and ask a lot of questions, but it's also, posed to property, and we feel like it's just dangerous to the neighborhood. Cars frequently come and go at odd hours, with individuals briefly getting in and out. In the past, people would get into cars, drive down to the end of the road, and then they would turn around, come back, and the person would get out. So while I don't really know what's going on, kind of understand what's going on, so I'll just leave that to the council to kind of make a decision on that. Frequent police presence. So as Darlene alluded to, I cannot count how many times the police have been at this property. Literally can't count how many times I've been there. Past few years, responding to disturbances, fights, other issues, to the point where I think every cop that comes by now knows that this house is a problem for the community. Trash, mismanagement, and rodent infestation. I have learned to kill rats like I don't think anyone has ever learned to kill rats before. I am a rat killing expert. If anyone needs to hire me, you can come and find me. Trash at this property has made me an expert on it. Typically, they put out about 5 to 6 barrels of trash a week. We put out 1, maybe 2 tops. So I don't know where all the trash comes from, but none of the barrels are, they all have holes in them. They don't have lids. Trash is frequently just open. Rodents get into it, causes a rat infestation. We had rats in my house. I had rats get into my car. It cost about $1,000 worth of damage. So no fun there. And then I'm worried that the kids might get bitten by one of these animals as well, which, I think at the end of the day, we're all concerned about the kids and stuff there as well. And then when asked if they could do something about that, the dismissive response was basically that rats are here in Woburn and I just have to deal with it, which, it's a great response. The landlord has neglected to maintain the property, leading to visible decay. So there's been broken windows, poorly maintained landscaping, a collapsed back porch with no stairs, which is a safety hazard. I watch people jump on and off the back of the stairs. I don't think that's a means of egress, so I don't know if that's cool as well. There's also a half-filled pool collapsing in the backyard with all these kids running around, which seems to me to be a concern because there's no fence around it. I'm worried one of these kids might get into that pool and God forbid something happens there. And then the backyard and the side yards have been littered with trash. They've been picked up occasionally, and then it just kind of comes back again. So it's just an ongoing issue where it gets cleaned up and then it gets put back to it. It just looks like total blight and crap everywhere. There's a dog. It's a pit bull that's frequently off leash, runs around the neighborhood. It scares a lot of people. I've had a lot of people in front of my house kind of walking their dogs and stuff have to deal with this pit bull that's off leash. That hasn't been too cool. It's very skittish and it runs away, but still it's a pit bull and I think it needs to be on leash and taken care of. Just as recently as a few weeks ago, I think we all recognize that we're in a major drought and things are very prone to catching on fire, as the recent fires have shown us in other areas of the town just north of us. They were burning leaves and using a backpack blower to keep the fire going. Flaming leaves were landing on my neighbors' properties. I had some landing on my porch roof. I had some landing on a garage roof that was nearby. To the abandoned vehicles and visual blight. So we've had a Cadillac, which was used as a teenage hangout, was covered in carpets and other items with power cords inside. It's unclear whether someone was living in the vehicle or just hanging out, but it's just very unusual and concerning. We've also had a Nissan sports car, a Honda Pilot, a Toyota Camry, I believe a white pickup truck at one point was all left abandoned on the property, and it's all been asked to have removed at some point. Currently today, is a Cadillac Escalade, which they were driving until recently, but is now parked on the property and has a big giant black trash bag hanging out of the side window, which probably isn't going to be moving anytime soon. And then to top it all off, we came home one day and there's a giant tractor cab with someone sleeping in the truck in the driveway, which I don't think is up to zone or ordinance, but still, nonetheless. So my conclusion, and not only my final thoughts on this, and thank you for hearing me out, these issues just are not an inconvenience. They're also a significant threat to the safety, well-being, and property values of everyone living in the neighborhood. And I respectfully ask that the City Council take immediate action to address the ongoing nuisance at 4 Maywood, specifically to instruct tighter trash management and pest control measures, require the landlord to repair and maintain the property to city standards, and address the abandoned vehicles and prevent further neglect. So, thank you.
Thank you,
Take any
sir.
questions if anyone has any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you, sir?
Just please state your name and address.
My name is Alika Alhaber. I live on 6 Maywood Terrace, which is right next to 4 Maywood. Good. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my concerns. This property is not only a nuisance to me as a direct neighbor, but to the whole street. This property is constantly messy, trash cans full to the max without lids. Rats and mice have been a constant issue lately. We keep traps outside and we actually catch them, like big ones. And we keep traps in the house. We've got mice in the house. And we never had this problem before. I've lived there since 2010. The grass in the summer and the leaves in the fall is not maintained like the other houses on the street. The backyard is full of debris and a pool that is halfway filled with dirty water and not fenced in. The house is not kept and it is deteriorating. Junk cars are always an issue. We have been at least 3 cars that were broken and parked in the driveway without being used. And at the moment, there is a Cadillac that has a broken window and it's just parked there. The street safety. Random kids from the middle school hang out at this property. I believe they're friends with the tenant that lives there. They come with their bicycles. They're doing wheelies in the middle of the street. And we're afraid to back out safely out of our driveway. They completely don't move. On 2 instances, I was involved in a serious experience where I actually caught a 2-year-old that was running straight into traffic on Beach Street. And I came to the house, brought the kid. Second instance, I was driving into the street and the kid was running to traffic. There is a video of that if anyone wants to see it later. And another neighbor, which is the previous person that was here, his wife has also caught the kid once. And I went to the sister and I told her, can you please keep this child safe inside? She just started screaming at me, verbally attacked me, and even threatened me by saying that her mother would come out and do something to me. Little kids often play in the middle of the street without supervision. Sadly, a child even got hit by a car when we had the Halloween parade. In addition to the topic, there has been a small motorbike that speeds up down the street, not in a safe manner. This motorbike gets parked at 4 Maywood in the morning, and then the driver goes to school. I saw that myself. And they're constantly calling the police. One time I called, and one day, cops were called there 5 times. And the burning leaves was an issue the other day. And also the constant yelling and fighting. My kids go to bed at 8:30. They can hear them screaming, and they get disturbed by it because their bedroom window is directly next to the Maywood side, the 4 Maywood side. In conclusion to my statement, I can't even park my own car in my own driveway because kids that play outside without supervision throw rocks towards my driveway. Fortunately, the day that happened, my car was in the garage. Otherwise, my car would have been seriously damaged. We just want to live in a safe and peaceful neighborhood. Thank you for your time tonight. If you have any
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Good evening, sir. Just state your name and address,
Good evening to you,
please.
sir. Robert Morenci, number 8 Maywood Terrace. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to speak tonight. Basically the same as both Elika and Ben have said. I live next to Elika, so 2 doors down from number 4. Been there for 7 years, 8 years. I've never seen the vermin like it has been over this past summer has been brutal with the rats. And you can just watch them running up and down the street. So that's my big concern. They've started to go from Elika's house over towards my house, so that's a problem for me. The swimming pool that is half full of green, murky water, has no fence around it, a 4-foot above-ground round pool. That's a health hazard not only for the residents at number 4, but for any other kids that would be in the neighborhood that could stumble in there at night. And finally, the other concern for me, where I'm not exactly an adjacent neighbor, is the kids are just running wild in the street. I don't believe these are all the kids that live in the residence, but I believe it's the kids that, kind of gravitate towards that property for whatever reason. And completely unsupervised, jumping in and out from between cars, just extremely dangerous. And these are little kids. These are toddlers. These are kids running around in diapers, as well as kids up to probably the teenage years. The last couple of weeks, what I've noticed has been happening more of is the little mini bikes up and down the street at night, like not a registered motorcycle like that you'd put a license plate on, but like an off-road style bike. And I follow them one night, and they go all the way down. They tear up the ball field at the Kennedy School, and then I think they're living, or they anchor up at the housing off of Crescent Street. So those are my bigger concerns, more as far as safety goes, to both the residents directly abutting and the rest of the people that live in the neighborhood. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Coming down.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? How are you tonight? Just your name and address, please.
Barbara Locke, 10 Maywood Terrace.
Thank you,
And
Bob.
I just want to say that, I think something like this, we're just trying to find solution. We're not trying to find fault. We're trying to get this squared away, and we want to be a neighborhood. I've been there, I'm going to tell you my age now, 64 years. I was born up on that street, and I've owned this home for 30 years, and our neighbors are wonderful, and the people that live in the house are probably, I don't know them personally, but the things that my neighbors are saying are true, and it is difficult, especially for the abutting people. It's just really a tough thing. But what we don't want to do is divide. We want to bring everybody together and see if we can find solution to this. I don't know what that answer is. I wish I did, but I'd like to be a part of finding that solution. And again, the people that own it and live there, we can do better and we can maybe help each other. But the complaints that these people have are legit, and it's about time that something's going to be done about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yes, sir. Just your name and address, please.
How are you? I'm Kevin McDonough, 16 Maywood, so I live down the end of the street. Thank you very much for everybody for taking time. Again, just to echo what everybody else said, what is going on is true. I live down the end of the road. I've witnessed multiple drug deals go down right in front of my house. The dirt bikes, motorbikes that go by. I have stood out in the street while my own 2 young kids are riding their bikes and yelled at kids going by because they go by at like 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. They don't care who's in the middle of the street, flying up and down the street. Something has to be done. I agree with Barbara. We're not here to divide, but something has to be done because it's nonstop. I know a bunch of police officers in the city. They've gone to that house numerous occasions. I mean, I just started finding rats in my yard over probably the last 3 months. I've been there for 13 years. I've never had a rat or a mouse in my yard. There's now in my yard constantly. We have pest companies coming out all the time. Where they're coming from, I don't know, but they're clearly making their way down the street. The children on the street, I pulled onto the street multiple times, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and there are toys from one corner of the street all the way across, making like a barrier across the road, with kids just running back and forth, not looking, nothing. That's like the second house in, first house in on the street. You turn off of Beach Street, you're going 10, 12 miles an hour as you turn off of that street. Somebody is going to get hurt. So again, something needs to be done about it. I don't know what that answer is, but something has to be done about it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in this matter? Please step forward, state your name and address, please, sir.
Don McLaughlin, Arlington, Mass. I just hear, this is my ex-wife, I'm not the landlord, but I understand the rat problem, but every town has a rat problem. But I'll personally take care of the house. I'll fix it. I'll pick everything up that needs to be picked up. I'll take care of the house. I'll fix it all up.
So you
'Cause
state...
I see it. I see the yard, and yes, what they said, it's a mess.
Just for clarification, you're not the landlord?
No.
What's
I'm
your
the ex, she's my
connection?
ex-wife.
She's your wife who resides at the house?
No, she doesn't live. This is my ex-wife.
Okay.
She's the landlord.
Okay, she's the landlord.
Yeah.
Okay, just for the public record, so we know who we're speaking with.
And I'll take care of the yard. I'll fix up the yard. I'll take all the crap out of there. Because honestly, I don't blame them for being upset about it. Because I would be too. And I'll take care of it. The rat problem, I don't know anything about. The kids in the street, I don't know. I just hear secondhand. But I'll take care of the yard and I'll fix it all up. And I don't blame them for complaining at all.
And your ex-wife, you're the owner of the property?
Yes.
Do you reside there as well?
No.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Deborah McLaughlin, 23 Fay Street, Wilmington.
Councilor Bowen?
Yes. Thank you all for coming down. I know that this has been painful for the neighborhood for many years, and the reason why it's risen to this level is because so many city resources have been expended to try to resolve it. And one of the things the building commissioner has asked is that there be permission granted for him to come and inspect the porch on the back of the house. Is that something that you're willing to do?
Yes, and it 100% needs to be fixed.
Okay.
It's a mess.
But you will grant permission for him to come onto the property?
You need the
She has
landlord's,
to-
you need the
I'm sorry,
property owner.
we'll need your
Yes,
spots.
yes.
So if you could step up to the podium, ma'am, and please give your name, address, and identify yourself as the owner of the property, that would be helpful.
Deborah McLaughlin, 23 Fay Street, Wilmington. Yes, I'm the owner of 4 Maywood Terrace.
And do you give permission to the building inspector to go into the backyard, inspect the porch, the pool, and the other things?
I do.
Okay, thank you. I know that you've heard a lot of things from the neighbors here tonight, and again, I can assure you, nobody wanted it to get to this level, but the amount of times that people have gone from the city to the home to try to get these things resolved over the course of this many years, there's no way we couldn't be here. So I'd like to hear how we're going to address some of those things. I think maybe the council might have some questions too, but you heard a lot here tonight. So there's some things that need to be taken care of.
Okay. And the tenant is also here. And
Nicole.
But I just want to remind you,
Yes.
ma'am, as the landlord, the responsibility lies solely with you.
Okay,
All of this lies solely with you.
okay.
So whatever conversations we have here tonight, whatever promises are made, are going to be made by you.
Okay.
I'm going to turn it back over to President Dillon.
Yes,
I'm good for now.
thank you. Councilor Toro.
Thank you. Hearing's still open. Yep. I don't know if there was one, I know someone else wanted to speak.
There may be others that would like to speak, Mr. President, before we start
Oh, right, sorry.
commenting.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyone else from the audience who would like to speak on this before council has questions for the landlord?
Good evening. Hi, I'm Susan Carpenter, and I live at 12 Maywood Terrace. Born and raised on the street, left for a while, but I'm back now again for the past 15, 20 years. I just want to support what the neighbors, the next-door neighbors to 4 Maywood Terrace have been living with, has been hell. I mean, they've just put up with so much over the years. From the safety aspect with the motorcycles going up and down, the kids on the bikes. I mean, I came to a complete stop, and one of the kids does live at 4 Maywood Terrace, but the group of them coming, doing the wheelies, coming down the street, and I'm coming against them, and I just came to a complete stop because you just don't know what they're going to do. And, you know, and then they just come up, ride close to your car, and then they go off and do their thing. But, you know, it's intimidating. And then the safety with the kids. I mean, I don't live next door I see the outside of the front of the house, but, you know, the safety of the kids is just huge. I mean, these kids are all over the street. They're on little like toy cars. They're 5 or 6 years old, but they're coming down a hill and no one's gonna see them low to the ground like that. And, you know, it's just a scary thing to see the kids out there unsupervised or supervised by an 8 or 10-year-old. That just doesn't work.
Thank you.
So, again, help us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Maybe we can have the landlord step forward one more time for some questions, please.
Do you have to close the public hearing? No. Don't close it, right? Keep it open.
Councilor Toro?
Thank you. Ma'am, what was your name again?
Debbie?
Debbie, so I own several pieces of property in Woburn and surrounding towns. And as Councilor Mercer Bruin mentioned, it is solely your responsibility to maintain this property. From, you know, snow removal to leaf removal to debris. Either you have to maintain that, you have to hire a company to do so, or you need to have your tenants do so. You know, we can't have properties like this in the city. It's not just one resident on Maywood that is complaining about this. There's just a handful that came here today, and I'm sure there's more that would have came. But I think we got the picture across. You need to, it is your responsibility. If you can't maintain that responsibility, you shouldn't own the property, to be very truthful. You need to do a better job, first and foremost. You also have to hold your tenants accountable. You know, with the behaviors, with the amount of times the police have been called, with the behavior of burning leaves in the yard when we're in a drought, and these pieces of potential fire starters going onto the other neighbors' properties. It's unacceptable. Do you want to be responsible for one of your residents or one of your neighbors having a fire on their home? Probably not, right? You just need to be better. In looking at some of these requests from our commissioner, these letters sent to you back from 2017 to the illegal renting through Airbnb, to the unregistered vehicles on multiple occasions, I don't know if they're just being completely ignored. It's not one instance where you've been notified about having unregistered vehicles on your property. Just this alone, back to 2020, there's been 3 or 4 instances. After the first instance of you being told that unregistered vehicles are not allowed on the property, you should get the picture. You know, I don't want neighbors coming up here at all. or residents of the city complaining. You know, as Councilor Mercer Bruin mentioned, in her 18 years, this is only the second time that she's done this. This is not taken lightly. So you should really think that, you know, a situation like this, for you to be brought in front of the council for this is an issue that needs to be addressed immediately. You know, the rat problem, I think your ex-husband mentioned, is certainly, it is an issue within every city, right? But there are certainly things that can be done by every property owner. You know, maintaining trash barrels with lids, which we have now, right, issued through Waste Management. Making sure your trash bags are inside the trash bags. Make sure the property is not full of leaves, which rats like to burrow in. To make sure the property is clean. So, you know, everybody can do their part. You know, that's not an excuse to say, hey, every city has this issue. You need to do better. That's at the end of the day, you need to do better. And I'm looking for this, you know, I'll let Councilor Mercer Bruin take the lead on this, it's her ward. But as one of the at-large councils, I'm looking for this issue to be resolved immediately. So all these residents, all these neighbors that you have standing here that had the courage to come up here and talk can live peacefully in safety without having to worry about dealing with 4 Maywood Terrace. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor DeMambro.
So, 7 years of complaints, and we're still dealing with this problem. We've got a half a dozen neighbors here complaining. They brought it to the city council. There's numerous police reports on this, building commissioner reports. Does any of this sink in whatsoever?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there are tools in place that they can take and start pushing forward with this. That's why they're giving you the opportunity to come forth and understand that they have tools in place that can take and start clamping down on this. So regardless of who's going to address it, they'll make it addressed, one way, shape, form, or another, legally. And they have that right and they have that ability. The commissioner has that, the chief of police has that, the fire chief has that ability, and the director of Board of Health has that ability. So I want you to take seriously, you know, what's going on in this particular moment, because this is pretty serious. And the fact that it has to come to the city council with numerous pages of paper of complaints and having the neighbors come out at 9:30 at night to basically tell us this, exactly what we're seeing in these reports, is bad. This is we have ordinances, municipal codes in place. We will enforce them. They're there for a reason, so that we don't have neighbors coming and residents coming here. Those ordinances and those municipal codes are in place so that we avoid this. And we expect, if you live in the city of Woburn, whether you rent or you own, to follow those codes and those ordinances, regardless of the situation. I'm not even going to touch upon the child safety factor. That in itself is very, very, very concerning. It's unimaginable what could happen on Beach Street. It's a very busy road. I can't even fathom what could happen. So I hope that everything that is being told to you is taken to heart and we see results as soon as tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Papalato.
So there's two things I want to bring up here. One is the rat issue, and yeah, it's all over in different cities. It's in different parts of the cities. I can tell you, when you say, I don't know where these rats are coming from, well, I know where those rats are coming from. Because we've had situations in my ward of the city where 1 or 2 houses have been misbehaving, I'll call it, and as a result of that, the rats come. Okay? And then what happens is we got the Board of Health involved. They sent out communication to the people around of do's and don'ts. They started following it, and guess what? The rats went away. So that's where the rats are coming from. It's bad behavior of the people that are causing this. Secondly, there's 2 pieces of this that have to happen, in my opinion, and I don't know if we have jurisdiction over both of them or not, but it looks like the homeowner and the ex-husband is going to step up and do their part, and that's great. But we need to see action, and we can't just see words.
Yes.
But once you clean that up, the people that live in that house need to change their behaviors as well. right? You folks are the ones that are living in that house, is that right?
Could you
So-
identify yourself for the record? since
Yes,
you're
I'm
sworn in?
Nicole Steen. This is my husband, James Steen.
So some of those behaviors have to change, because you can have the most pristine yard in the world and you can fix the back deck, but if the behaviors of the kids and the adults in the house continue to do this, it's just gonna continue to cycle through. So I'm with the other counselors over there. You have to start this process right now, and you need to start cleaning this up. It's not gonna happen overnight, we get it, but you have to start the process or you'll never get to the end. Thank you.
Counselor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've heard about what the exterior of the house is like. What's the interior of the house like? What's the condition?
It's beautiful. I can take pictures. I can have some sent here now if you'd like.
Would the owner of the property be willing to let either the building commissioner, board of health, or fire department go in to inspect?
Absolutely.
Sure, yes.
You'd be be okay with that? All right, so at this point, I'd like to make a motion to send a communication to,
I'm trying to make sure.
If we could hold off on that.
okay, do you want me to hold on? Okay.
Counselor Campbell.
Yeah, this is very disturbing, very disturbing for so many reasons. Why have you not responded to the building commissioner?
I have. I have spoken to him many times,
Okay,
and I relay those messages onto her.
And I've spoken to him. But on my behalf, I've been working on everything that we're talking about here. I'm the one with the 2-year-old. I have a grandson and grandkids that visit. But there's a neighbor with kids that are also out there. What I'm trying to say is there's no way my 2-year-old has gotten out, but twice that he's gotten out, I've latched that door. On the other hand, I've been accused of selling drugs. Listen, if I was selling drugs, there's no way, and that's my Cadillac truck in the driveway, there's no way that I would be waiting. I'm waiting for a part. The truck has been in the yard maybe a month and a half, and it's registered and it's insured, and it's the only vehicle besides my daughter's vehicle that's also in the yard. I've dealt with a lot of stuff from the neighbors.
but we
Things
have,
that
but
I
we
just-
have pictures, ma'am.
Yes,
I was told that we
I
have
just said-
pictures of the unregistered vehicles in
No,
your...
my vehicle, the Cadillac truck. The car that was there that I had removed, I had to have it removed because the rats that we're talking about, my landlord, I had to call her, I think 2 years in to the property. My neighbor had about 7 pumpkins, dead pumpkins, that were there. I had asked him to move them like a lot. So she had somebody come measure the property line. Once that was done, he put a gate up and no more problems with the rats. Ever since Woburn started getting dug up, we started getting rats. So we went and got new barrels, we went and got lids, but I have to constantly replace them because the rats chew them up, the good thick plastic ones. I do have the yard cleaned by the kids, but it's not like the kids are just running around. There's not several kids. There's only a 13-year-old and a 3-year-old. Excuse me, 2.
Okay,
Yeah, I
I
only
mean,
have
obviously,
2
we
kids
have to,
there.
we haven't gotten all of the reports from the
Yeah.
police, but obviously, we're hearing
Absolutely.
that things are happening. And I guess I'm just wondering why you're not having your tenant accountable for
I
these
do.
issues.
I do. She needs to be better at it, obviously. We'll be better at it together.
Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, because my feeling, I'm very concerned that nothing's gonna be done. I understand that you might clean the property, but what's gonna happen with the children riding bicycles in the middle of Beach Street? Or the kids on motorbikes?
My son is a 13-year-old that goes to will be going to the high school as of next year. He just lost 80 pounds, and he's being sponsored. He goes on bike tournaments. So his friends, usually, they're coming to pick him up so they can go and ride bikes. He's sponsored.
I know, but it's, ma'am, your son is,
No, a
if
regular
this is this
bicycle.
person, if this is him, which I don't know if it is, they're riding in the middle of the
He
street.
doesn't have a dirt bike, my
No,
son.
no, no, the regular bikes, they're riding in
No,
the
he's
middle of
not
the
riding
street.
a bike in the middle of the
Okay.
street. I can't
Yeah.
control
So,
other people's children.
I know, this, I'm gonna give it to you, this is extremely frustrating, because you have so many neighbors here. This has been years, this isn't just one or two things, and I hold you as the owner accountable. And I just can't believe, honestly, that you have allowed this tenant to stay in the property for these years with all of these issues that have taken place. And not only do you have to take care of that property, you have got to make sure they're accountable for the children not going up and down the streets in the middle of the road.
I don't know who the children are going up and down the streets.
Okay,
Council Favula.
yeah, but that's it, thank you.
I think I'm close to the last end. This is addressed to Nicole. Nicole, if there's any social service support that I can offer you, I was formerly the police chief. If Woburn has a ton of resources. If there's anything we can do to help, and I mean this sincerely,
Thank
I'm not
you.
being negative, work with the schools, work with whatever we need to do. I'll be more than happy to take that on. That's my name right here.
Thank
We can connect you with school people if you need support there. We can, whatever we can do, social concern, anything I can do to help you, or we can do to help you as a community, as a positive fashion. I'll leave the landlord issues to the building commissioner, and I don't want to get involved with that. But I mean, the simple thing is, there's anything I can help you with, or we as a community can help you with. Samantha Stone up in the mayor's office, we have a ton of resources, and you've been here a while.
Yeah.
But if there's anything further we can do to help with that, which maybe could address some of the other issues that are there, I stand ready to support you in a way that we can as a community, not me as taking it on as a project. But we have a lot of resources that we can help the Boys and Girls Club, Women Council Social Concern, at the high school, whatever we can do to help with that.
Okay.
Should you need it, reach out. I'm not going to meddle in your life.
Yes.
But I stand ready to
No,
support
I'm
whatever I
very
can do
good.
with that.
I'm happy, thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you, President Dillon. I just want to bring this back full circle, because at the end of the day, this is your responsibility, ma'am, as the
Yes.
landlord. You have the ultimate responsibility of everything that's going on in that home, including everything that was described here tonight.
Yes.
The amount of city resources that have literally been wasted because you have ignored it. And you can't look at your tenant and say, well, I told her. This is on you. And that's why we're here tonight. And my fellow counselor over here, Counselor DeMambro, mentioned that there's ordinances. We're way past ordinances here. We are here talking about declaring your property a nuisance to the public, which is extremely serious. So my goal here is not to take receivership of your house. That's not the goal. The goal is that you start following the rules and you become a good landlord, because that's not what's happening now. So it's going to start with, you agree to let the building inspector come and inspect the back of your property. You agree to let the Board of Health also inspect your property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to see a time frame put on this in terms of things being cleaned up. Most, I can't even say most, because this is only the second time, and I've been here a long time. Only second time in my career as a city councilor that I have ever called for a public nuisance. So in my mind, you have, I think it's very generous to say that you have 2 weeks to get things cleaned up.
Okay.
And then we'll meet back here again and see how things are going. And cleaned up means the trash, and I know some of the counselors haven't seen the trash, but I have pictures of huge, like 20 bags of trash just thrown out, and sometimes thrown out when it's not even trash day. So we need to address those things. If you need more barrels for your tenants from the city, you can get them. You call the Board of Health, and they'll be happy to provide them.
Okay.
They'll let you know what the cost is, and it's not just to you, there's a cost to all of us, right?
Yes.
If you want extra barrels. The other things we need to address We talked about Commissioner Quinn, he now has permission. Jack Freilich now has permission to go on your property. The backyard will be completely cleaned up. I have your word on that?
Yes,
And this council has your word on that?
Yes.
Within 2 weeks?
yes,
Any mold, mildew, things that are growing on the house, all that business will be cleaned up?
yes.
Yes? The car that's there with the broken window, can we have your assurances that there will not be parties, and I'm addressing the landlord at this
Yes.
point, that there will not be parties held in vehicles late at night or any time at all?
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Councilor Bruin? May I add one? And
Absolutely.
my job is to run this meeting, not to get involved in this part of it. But as a grandfather, I am saying that pool has to be drained immediately tomorrow.
There's no water.
I'm hearing it's half full. I don't care.
As soon as it rains, there'll be water in it.
Do you realize that a child can drown in less than 3-4 inches of water? Please.
We'll make
I
sure.
don't want to be reading in the paper about something that's going on when we had some control over it.
Okay.
So that is my suggestion. Number one, tomorrow, right away.
Okay.
And when it's time to make a motion, maybe we need to see if there's any emergency action that can be taken forward on that behalf of making sure the pool is removed or drained by Commissioner Quinn, check with our legal counsel.
Okay. If Commissioner Quinn is granted access to the property, that shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
I also want assurances from the landlord, who, again, I'll say, is responsible. Deborah, this is on you.
Yes,
I don't want to see tractor-trailer cabs there anymore. I don't know what that was all about, but don't let it happen again. It's not allowed in the city. And if Commissioner Quinn has to spend one more piece of paper telling you that, then we'll be back here saying, yes.
I was unaware of that
Well,
until I got the notice.
Twice it happened, twice.
Yes, but
And
I was
somebody's-
unaware of it until I got the
Again,
notice.
it is your property, ma'am. You need to be aware of what's happening at that property. I know a lot of landlords who put up cameras. Maybe we'll make that a condition, so you know what's going on in your own property.
Okay.
I'm not joking.
I'm not laughing. I know you're not.
Does anybody else have anything else? And I think I will even make it, I don't know the legality of that, but I don't think it's a bad idea if you can't be at your own property. This dates back so many years. This is not, a new thing. I'm very upset for the neighbors. I want things to change over there, so we're going to start with the physical part of it first.
Yes.
Anybody else have any suggestions?
Councilor DeMambro.
You live at Fay Street in Wilmington, correct?
Yes.
So you're approximately 3 miles away?
Yeah, 10
Give or take?
minutes. Yes.
You can do drive-bys.
I occasionally do.
If you're in the,
I also work full-time.
I understand that. There's 24 hours in a day.
Yes,
Swing by
yes.
periodically. And I would say, being the seriousness nature of this,
Yes.
I would probably for the next 2 weeks go by every day. After work, before work. I don't care, you gotta go there at 10 o'clock at night with a flashlight. You gotta stop making visits to this property.
Yes.
You're
I
an
will.
absent landlord as of right now. You're an absent landlord. Doesn't look good. So you're not that far away. You're under 3 miles. You can make stop by at least once a day. Thank you.
Councilor Viola.
Is this yard fenced in?
Partially.
Partially.
Except for the front.
So where the pool is, there's no fence around it, correct?
No.
Is this pool, is it built in, is it, how do I want to word it?
Above
It's an above-ground pool?
Yeah, through the chair to Councilor Viola. The pool is an above-ground pool and technically doesn't have to have a fence unless there's stairs near it. But the building commissioner hasn't been able to get access to the property, so we don't know. So that's part of what we're going to address here.
Thank you. Is the pool collapsible?
Yes.
And
So-
again, I would say the question should be directed to the landlord, through the chair,
Yes.
to Councilor Viola. The question should be directed to the landlord of the property and answered by the landlord of the property.
I don't have an answer for that because I don't know.
So you haven't been on your property recently?
I have, but I don't know what a collapsible.
Is it PVC pipe that holds it up? Is it metal?
I don't know what it is. It's a pool. I don't know.
They'll,
All right. Going back on, is there a dog on the premises?
Yes.
Is it registered with the city?
Yes. It's not a pit bull either.
I don't know if it's registered with the city.
All right. I would suggest making sure that it is registered with the city.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you as well, as I said before, would you be willing to let the fire department, Board of Health, or inspectional services go inside the property?
Yes.
yeah, she's already agreed to that.
She said outside, but I'm just through the
Oh,
chair, just to
inside.
make sure that they're allowed.
She said inside.
Okay, all right. And then, just the safety of children is paramount, so we need to make sure that these issues are addressed in a timely manner.
Yes.
We should never have been to this, where we are right now. This has been going on since 2017. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? What is the will of the council?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the petitioner agrees to the following. I'm sorry?
She's not the petitioner.
I'm sorry.
The
I'm
landlord?
so used to
I
seeing
know.
petitioner.
The
That the landlord of record agrees to the following. That access will be granted to our Board of Health, our fire department, and our building department to both inside and outside of the property immediately. That the backyard and all the debris in the backyard, including the pool, will be removed and cleaned up.
Is there a time frame on that?
2 weeks.
Within, in terms of the access, immediately. Access to our public officials that I just mentioned must be granted as of right now. So if they knock on the door tomorrow, they get to go in.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I get, I just need a procedural question on this. This is a motion for what? Like, communication to be sent to her stating this?
Well, the petitioner, you tell, I'm sorry,
she's-
sorry, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Again,
know what,
a long
like-
time I've been doing this. I don't take it lightly. This is only my second time on a public nuisance hearing. The petitioner typically will agree, or the landlord will agree to something, and what I was hoping is in 2 weeks, we would come back here as a body to meet, to make sure that all the things that we're asking be done. So you tell me how you would like me to.
I just don't know, your motion, I don't know how she's supposed
the
to respond to
form
that
of a
motion.
motion.
Like, I need to.
You need me to make all of this into a form of a
No,
motion?
No, you made the motion, but I'm not sure what your motion is. Do you want her?
To agree to it?
She verbally already agreed to stuff, so do you want me as a city clerk to send her a letter confirming this?
Yes.
Thank you, that's what I need to be
I'll
clarified.
make a, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay, that's why I was clarifying, don't worry.
And I'm happy to say that I don't do this often, because it's not a place we
It
want
should
to
be,
be.
it should be in writing.
Yeah.
Stuff should be in writing.
Absolutely. So you captured the petitioner, the
Do you have your-
landlord grants access.
We have this in writing.
No, I literally was taking notes tonight because we had so many different things.
Okay, so let's just start from the beginning then. One
Beginning.
is,
The landlord grants access to the property by the Board of Health, the fire department, as well as the building commissioner.
Board of Health, Fire, and Building Commissioner?
And building commissioner. If I missed anyone, please somebody chime in.
Landlord grants access to Board of Health
Yep, for inside and outside
And
of the
outside.
property to
Immediately.
inspect.
of inside and outside.
Yeah.
Property. Immediately? I heard that, I don't know if that confused you.
As of today, immediately, yes.
Okay, 2,
That the backyard will be cleaned of all of the debris, including the pool, will be removed.
Is there a time frame on that?
I'm going to put a time frame for all of it within 2 weeks.
3,
3, that all of the mold and mildew and everything that's growing on the house will be removed.
okay. Okay,
um,
and then all,
within 2 weeks.
and then,
That-
want me to send this certified?
Yes. That the landlord agrees to reach out to the
So
Board of...
that's 4.
Sorry.
Okay.
To obtain the number of trash receptacles required to hold the trash that they have from our Board of Health.
We only give out.
Oh, that's only
recycling
for
bins.
recycling, right?
Yes, yes.
That, okay, so that the landlord agrees to purchase the appropriate number of waste receptacles with lids for the trash that's produced on the property.
Okay.
And that's all I have,
All within 2 weeks, right?
for all within 2 weeks, and then we'll see how things are going over.
Unregistered vehicles.
Right now, there are no unregistered vehicles, but we have the,
You're allowed one unregistered
you are
vehicle.
allowed one unregistered, and what I heard is that it was going to be, there's a problem with it, it was going to be fixed, so.
Yeah,
um,
it's registered and
but-
insured, she
I
said.
just want to clarify the motion. There's a motion on the floor that a certified communication be sent from the city clerk's office to the landlord of record with the following 4 conditions that you, so-called conditions, requirements, all within the 2 weeks. I don't know if there was a second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
On the motion,
Yes.
after we are granted access, would we not have a clearer baseline with Commissioner Quinn's report from his access and the Board of Health's report from his access? Not to delay it, but to give you the protection to use that as our true baseline for improvement, as opposed to a collection of neighborhood complaints. And I'm not asking to stop or do anything, but I think once Tommy gets there and Jack Freilich gets there, we'd have a more formal report to say that this is what their recommended actions are to bring it into code and give us a better jump-off point, because I would suggest that in 2 weeks, when we're back here, the discussion would be other things that are found or other things that have been corrected, and we don't have a true clean jump-off point. That's just a comment, no action requested, but that's just a thought, that their point may be, give us a legal standing to move forward, as opposed to a collection of comments. And I leave that out there to hang. I don't need anything back on it. It's just a thought.
Thank you.
President Dillon. I
Councilor
think, based on the communication from the building commissioner, we absolutely have a legal right to be where we are. I don't want these neighbors to have to wait one more...
I'm not questioning the legal
Oh,
right.
okay,
I'm
yeah.
just questioning the jump-off point.
Yep. And in terms of moving forward, I don't think the neighbors, and I appreciate that through the chair to Councilor Furlow, I don't think the neighbors should have to wait one more minute to have this place cleaned up,
Just said my
especially for the pool. And if there's other things that need to be addressed, and I suspect there are other things that need to be addressed, like the porch, we'll hear about that as well. And I'm not suggesting we close this hearing and consider it done. I would like to monitor this situation very closely.
Anyone else?
There's a motion on the floor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Through the chair, do you understand
Yes,
what needs to be done and
Yes.
and the timeframe in which it needs to be done?
yes,
Okay. And you understand we'll be back here in a couple of weeks?
yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it, and I hope you will take this seriously and
I will.
move
Thank
forward.
you.
All right. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing until
Thank you to the
December
neighbors
3rd
for
meeting.
showing up.
Second.
Second.
December 3rd, sorry to miss that.
December 3rd.
Okay, thank you.
The motion and a second to continue the public hearing till December 3rd. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Sorry, just make my notes.
And
Next
for
item on the
clarif-
agenda.
Sorry, for clarification, can I speak?
Yes.
The neighbors don't necessarily have to come back here in 2 weeks. That it's up to them if they want to come back. They can report through email, they can report through pictures. I know it's busy, but I'm sure some of them will come back. I just wanted to make that point. The
Thank
only
you.
one who really needs to be back here is the landlord.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is on the personnel, and the appointment of Angela M. Taft to the Commission on Disability. Committee report was received, ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second, the committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Got ahead of myself. From the Committee on Public Safety and License. On the petition by Woburn Bowldrome Entertainment for a new bowling alley license at 32 Montville Ave, the committee report was received ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the petition for 2025 renewal of first-class motor vehicle sales licenses, the committee report received ought to pass.
Motion that committee report be adopted.
On the motion,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
President, it was brought to my attention that the building commissioner has been out to Colonial Cadillac, and there may be some structural issues with their wall surrounding the property, just so the council's aware of.
So do you feel comfortable with this going forward?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that for now.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on agenda is the petition for 2025 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales licenses for various ones.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second, the committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes.
On the petition by Nikoloff and Sons for a minor modification to special permits dated September 10th, 2004 to Cafe Sorelli Inc. and June 24th, 2021 to Cafe Leonardo. A committee report was received, ought to pass with conditions. Further communication dated November 8th, 2024 was received from Attorney James A. Giuliano.
Make a motion that the communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'll make a motion the committee report be adopted with the conditions agreed to.
Second.
Second.
The motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the parking clerk's September 2024 parking.
Make a motion the matter be received and placed on file.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
The next matter on the agenda was actually placed on there in error. It was put in the folder, but did not need to be before the city council. This is for the appointment of Jack Musco to the Woburn Recreation Commission.
Make a motion the matter is received and placed on file.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:42 PM.